Jon Stewart came out in defense of his friend Dave Chappelle, and I have some thoughts. So I will discuss that. I'll also discuss what gender is, and I'll also get to later on the what cancel culture is and what it isn't. So first up here, Jon Stewart's thoughts, and to be clear here, Jon Stewart and Colbert both had a real impact on me and my politics and my growth and my direction in doing this kind of work, but just want to put that out there. This is from New York Post. They write here, Jon Stewart is coming out in defense of longtime pal Dave Chappelle after he was accused of making transphobic remarks in his new Netflix comedy special, The Closer. Stewart, 58, told TMZ Thursday that Chappelle, 48, is one of my favorite people on the planet and that his intentions are never hurtful. Now, this is the only real defense that you could do of Dave Chappelle. And I think he's correct to point out that I don't think Chappelle's intent was to be harmful. Now, I could be wrong. That's my opinion. I don't think his intent was to harm. That said, as I said in my first video on this, the impact of your words matter than the actual intent. When you are this famous, when you have the ability to impact tens of millions of people, the impact of those words matter more than your intent. And I'm not talking about hurting people's feelings. I don't care about who was offended. That isn't the issue here. It's about putting actual trans people's lives at risk through the crap that you're spewing. So to reference here, Tara Field, who works at Netflix, I think still works at Netflix, may have left, but she when the special came out, she had a long thread here, but one tweet said this: promoting TERF ideology, which is what we did by giving it a platform yesterday, directly harms trans people. It is not some neutral act. It is not an argument with two sides. It is an argument with trans people who want to be alive and people who don't want us to be. And she goes on in this thread to say that it's not about being offended. That isn't the issue here. It's not about being offended. It's about the fact that what you are saying is promoting a hateful ideology that puts trans lives at risk. That is the problem here. Now, getting back to the intent versus impact thing before I go any further into this video, we have to be clear here. If you are a random guy, you don't have a platform, you don't impact tens of millions with your opinions. You impact maybe your friends, your family, and you have some ignorant thoughts and you say some stupid things. That's whatever. That's life. Like, you have the opportunity to learn and grow and change, and you're not really hurting all that many people or anybody unless it becomes your identity and, you act out either verbally abusive or physically abusive. Then yeah, it becomes a more serious issue. But just in terms of speech, the impact of that average guy, that random guy, there's no impact. But when you are famous, you have a platform, you're getting paid $20 million a special, you have to be a little more aware of what you were saying and how that may impact people's lives. Again, it's about lives, not about opinions or feelings. How what you say may impact people's lives. I think this is what Chappelle misses. I think this is what Joe Rogan misses, thinking he could just, in Joe Rogan's case, have on any idiot and just, talk shit, say whatever, and not realize the stuff you were saying is impacting millions of people. The random bullshit you spew out about vaccines is impacting millions of people listening. Like, I don't know how I have a tiny platform compared to those people, and I am continually conscious of what I am putting out, what I am saying, knowing I have responsibility to the facts. That's why I show you the sources that I reference here. And then it's clear when I'm giving my opinion, and that opinion is not always based in fact, or it's based in the facts that I'm using, but my opinion may differ from yours, and that's fine. But to not understand that when you have a massive platform getting paid millions, I don't understand how these people go through life not realizing the impact of what they're doing. And if they do realize it, then yes, in that case, their intent is harm. But going on here, I want to get to just to clear some things up. Hopefully, we can wrap up this topic, and I'll never touch on it again because this has gone on a bit long now. But just to reference what Chappelle said in a special and discuss what gender actually is, to do some educating here to those that don't really understand this, and that's fine. You have time to grow and learn, but it's about time that you learn at this point. So, as the New York Post writes here, Chappelle has been under fire for the release of The Closer early this month, in which he declared himself to be a trans exclusionary radical feminist, a TERF. Quote, they canceled J.K. Rowling. My God. Effectually, she said gender was fact. The trans community got mad as shit. They started calling her a TERF. I'm Team TERF, he quipped in the stand-up special. Quote, gender is a fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on Earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on Earth. This is a fact. No. Gender is a social construct. Now, this, again, may be confusing to some. I'll get to the breakdown here in a second so you understand it. And that's fine. You don't have a platform. You don't make $20 million to put out a special to say that you're Team TERF. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter if you don't know this stuff, but it doesn't matter as much as it does for Dave Chappelle or anyone with a platform that is spewing this nonsense. So just to be clear about that, because look, people need to stop putting themselves in the shoes of these comedians or anyone with a platform, because the rules apply differently depending on your impact on society. If what you say has no impact on society, then your ignorance matters a lot less than if you have an impact on society. So let me explain what gender is using the World Health Organization. So here you go. They write here, gender refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. This includes norms, behaviors, and roles associated with being a woman, man, girl, or boy, as well as relationships with each other. As a social construct, gender varies from society to society and can change over time. Gender interacts with what is different from sex, which refers to the different biological and physiological characteristics of females, males, and intersex persons, such as chromosomes, hormones, and reproductive organs. Gender and sex are related to but different from gender identity. Gender identity refers to a person's deeply felt internal and individual experience of gender, which may or may not correspond to the person's physiology or designated sex at birth. So, to be clear here, gender identity and sex are different. You may have the anatomy of a female, but identify as a man. By Chappelle claiming he is Team TERF, he is rejecting that, and in the process, furthering this stigma, further isolating the trans community and putting trans lives at risk by publicizing that being Team TERF is perfectly fine. So that's the issue here. Again, not about hurt feelings, about putting actual lives at risk. Now, I want to share something here. I saw this story blow up. Dramatic increase in children and youth seeking gender treatments has some experts alarmed. Now, there was a fantastic reply to this that shows you there is no reason to be alarmed. Ari Drennan here, sharing Don't Make Me Tap My Favorite Chart. This is fantastic. The history of left-handedness. So the rate of left-handedness among Americans by year of birth. It's always been about 12%, but it was beaten out of children in the late 1800s, early 1900s, before it became finally okay again to be left-handed. Meaning that once you are finally able to be who you truly are, once society allows that, then you see the true number of that group of people. In this case, those that are left-handed. So it's about 12%. We're now seeing people at much younger ages, because they're feeling this at much younger ages, as they always have in most cases. You're now seeing this sort of treatment being sought more often because being trans is less stigmatized than it once was. So it's important to understand that your experience isn't everyone else's experience, and that society evolves, grows, changes, that's perfectly normal. And this discussion, in 20 years, hopefully sooner, will seem so bizarre that we had to explain this at one point. But we are currently in that situation still where this has to be explained. But hopefully people are beginning to open up and understand that, and realizing why that parts of that special were so impactful on the trans community. Again, not about hurt feelings. I know I keep saying that because that keeps being what's harped on by people that seem fine with the special, but it's not about hurt feelings. It's about the actual impact on the community. Now, I also want to share this. So there's recently a walkout from Netflix trans employees and allies with a list of demands on Netflix. Basically, a lot of it was calling for more of an investment into trans content. And to be clear, taking down the Dave Chappelle special was not one of their demands. So you're seeing a lot of misinformation about that, but no, they were not calling for the special to be taken down. Even though, I just want to point out here, Chappelle show got removed because Dave Chappelle wanted it down. So Dave Chappelle can get things taken off Netflix. I know it's his show still, but I just wanted to point that out. Also here, I saw this great point here made by Kropotkin. I hope I'm saying your name right. Says comedians literally feel entitled to having their jokes go over well. If a joke doesn't land or provokes upset, it's the fault of the audience. If the audience loves it, it's all the comedian. And for me, this is, I mean, you can use this in Dave Chappelle's situation for sure, but I see this, this reminds me of Bill Maher, exactly. This, anytime, if you still watch Real Time, I've stopped watching it, but when he's giving his monologue and he tells a joke that doesn't land, he gets angry at the audience. As if it's their fault for not getting the joke. Maybe your joke just sucks. It's like it's bizarre to me that comedians feel entitled to have their audiences laugh. No, maybe your joke just sucks. Maybe write better jokes. But yeah. Also here, let's get to quickly. This is a long video. Let's get to quickly here what is and is not cancel culture. A Netflix comedian who did not get his special taken down, isn't even being requested to take it down, who made $20 million a special, all the specials still up. That is not cancel culture. Cancel culture is when a person who has no platform, is not a known figure, is then punished for something going viral when that was not what they actually did. So in this case, National Post reporting here, judge finds Ontario women were defamed in social media firestorm over alleged George Floyd post. The facts of the case show what happens when a snippet on social media is taken from its context and turned into a full-blown mobbing by total strangers. So quickly here, just to explain this. This lady was play wrestling with her husband or her boyfriend, and somebody snapped a photo of this moment, put it on social media. This was during the George Floyd protests, and people thought that they were mocking George Floyd, when that's not what they were doing. They were play wrestling, and a screenshot got out. That led to her losing her job, her sister who posted it losing her job. I think her boyfriend was also impacted by this as well. All of this happened because of something taken out of context and the social media firestorm around it. And because she has no power, no wealth, she wasn't really able to properly defend herself and correct the record. So that's cancel culture. Or this situation, Nathan Bernard here tweeting out, Bates College administration censored the campus newspaper, deleting an article on staff unionizing, then republishing it with their over 1,000 new words of anti-union jargon, patriotic quotes, and pro-management talking points. This also cancel culture, taking down a article that is being pro-union, replacing it, or not even just pro-union, but discussing the staff unionizing and what their demands were, and then replacing it with anti-union propaganda. That's cancel culture. So either in this situation, you have a powerful institution coming down on those with no power, that's cancel culture, or, you know, a social media firestorm over someone who has no power being taken out of context, cancel culture. And I'm sure there, you know, of course there are more examples than just these two, but these are examples of actual cancel culture.